I want to take some time to open it up to the audience. It's very interesting because I have a couple thoughts. The first part is getting leadership to respond to the ask, right? Mm-hmm. And not saying that they need to be accessible 24/7, right? But I think that's part of what people's concerns is that leadership is not necessarily responsive, right? We tell people to ask and then they don't always get answers. And again, it's not something you can do all the time, but I think that that's part of it as well. And then my other thing is that, I still feel like, and I understand things are larger and they are federal and they trickle down, but I do think that there are things that can happen locally to make change, and so I don't think that we're really touching on that because that is the part that I think will, even if it's small impacts. I mean, even as you talked about, Caitlin, there are some small things that are taking place that it takes time. It's a process, but I think that if people were more aware that it's happening, they would be a little bit more like, oh, there are things that are taking place. And again, we know it's people that are going to be negative no matter what. Like, we understand there are some people that no matter what you do and say, they're going to find something wrong with it, and that's just what they do, and we're good with that, right? But there are some people who generally don't understand that things are happening. They don't see it. They aren't aware, and sometimes their leadership is not communicating with them. So I still think there's this disconnect with hearing from the people and making that change, those small steps, and then you have leadership doing things that are all in their little bubbles, talking about stuff and doing stuff. But sometimes I feel that the residents can get left out because they don't go to those. They're not invited to those things, right? They're not there, and then at a commissioner meeting, you can't really exchange, right? And so if this is your only outlet to come to a commissioner meeting and say yada 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 yada, and then people just look at you, right? Then what are you getting? And so I think that's what we want to kind of work on is, and again, I'm not a genie. I can't make magic happen. I mean, I think I can sometimes, but the whole point is that by the end of this, we want to be able to at least look at some practicalities and say, you know what? I think this can happen in 6 months, in a year, in 5. There has to be something that we can do as a community to make something happen where people can see it, is tangible. They can say, oh, wow, this is happening. I mean, I looked at the event with Rob Clark that he started at Winona Park, the cleanup for this past 10 years. That is a beautiful way to show how one small thing can become something that happens throughout the community, and you see the change, right? You see that impact. And those are the things that I'm talking about. Sometimes we know laws and all that. I mean, we know that stuff takes a while, right? But there are some things that we can do that allows for impact and change, right? That we can do as a community. So I want to take some questions or comments from the audience.
Can I say one thing before?
Please, yes, yeah.
About accountability.
Sure.
The city does have the See Click Fix app.
Okay.
And it's phenomenal.
It's amazing. They've got to respond within like 48 hours. If you take a picture of a pothole, they've got to respond. The engineering department, if you have a problem with blight, the blight enforcement officer, and somebody at one time said it's tied to their funding. If they don't respond, I don't know whether that's true or not. That might just be a lie. But they do have to respond to that. And I would say to anybody in the audience, if you've got a neighbor or somebody, go out there, take a picture of your cracked sidewalk, take a picture of the giant pothole. They have to respond. I lucked out. My neighbor works for the DPW, so when I take a picture, he's taking lunch, so it gets fixed. But 26th Street, if you go up and down it, use the app. That's all I'm going to say.
I didn't even know there was one.
Oh, it's awesome.
It is, yeah.
Good, awesome.
I've used it, like my street tree had a branch fall down. They come get it.
Can someone send me that app, the link to it, so I can share that?
I'm going to share that
Silly
actually, too.
See Click Fix.
Yep, See Click Fix.
What is See Click
Fix? And you got to type in Bay City, your location.
Okay. Oh, awesome.
And you can do it anonymously. You don't even have to they want you to make.
And you can comment on other people's reports.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
People like anonymous.
You text them a picture of it, and it gets a geolocation, and they know that problem is.
Oh, that's cool.
It gets priority for fix, and it gets fixed pretty quickly. So
I love that. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you. Yes.
Yes, Laura Kubit. I'm the First Ward Commissioner. Hello. I am approachable and a human and happy to talk to anybody about their goals and concerns.
She is.
Running unopposed.
Nobody ran against me. So yes, I just wanted to say that, and I think that that's a wonderful example of a tool that is wonderful, it's accessible, we need to spread the word because it does matter, and it's on there until it's resolved, right? You know, it's like on the to-do list. So we have lots of things to be proud of. I think the more that we have these conversations, the more that we have opportunities for people to engage, but I think we have good people in this city, and I'm really proud of that. And if all of us can just say, how can I help, and do that versus pointing fingers, I think that we're going to continue on positive spiral instead of negative spiral. So I'm so happy to be here, and please, if there's anything I can ever do, please don't hesitate to ask.
Thank you for being here.
Hello, my
Hi.
name is Chelsea Anderson. I'm a resident, and I just wanted to offer an alternate perspective on a couple things I heard tonight.
Okay.
One thing was said about, like, get over your nerves to run for office. And I think another point was brought up about how much grace we need. It's not about nerves. People are being threatened. I've seen the nasty threats people are giving our commissioners. I don't want that. No matter how much I want things to be fixed, I have a family. So that is part of the problem. I'm not just nervous to go get signatures. You know, I try to email commissioners. My specific commissioner, who is not in this room, I've never heard back from her. I've never had a commissioner knock at my door. I send emails to the entire board and hear very little back. I've applied for boards and heard crickets. So I guess I'm hearing all this stuff about what I'm supposed to be doing to get involved, and there's something getting stuck in the way there for not just me. I know a lot of citizens in this position. So I think that is part of why it seems like it's a bit of a club and we're not allowed in, and what's going on. So just a thought from somebody that has been trying.
No, I appreciate that.
Yes.
I appreciate that because those are the people that I've been talking to, and that is what is being said. It's almost this us versus them, and that can happen in communities, right? That does happen, but there has to be a way for us to try to help work through some of that. And I think sometimes it is simply information. I think people just don't know. And if they knew, and not to dismiss anything you said, but I mean, just in some parts of it is that I think if people had more information about some things, they would feel like they had an opportunity to reach out or have some kind of power. And so I really appreciate Matt for bringing that up, because that really is helpful in that regard, because I didn't even know that existed. I wonder if Midland has one, because I almost ran into one the other day and almost broke my car.
It's a great app.
No, it is.
And I think a lot of stuff, like on our city website, I am good at finding resources, and the city it's hard to find them sometimes. It's hard to find that information you're looking for. And
no, I appreciate that.
So.
No, I appreciate you sharing
and
about running too.
I talk to most of you here. I think you guys are great. I don't have anything against anyone here. Oh, I'm sorry. But it does still feel like, it's two different sides, can't quite cross it.
Yeah.
I understand that. I sent emails out to all of the commissioners and the bigger people, like at the state level, and I got responses from every state level person that I sent it to, and I got response from 2 people locally that
I'll add to that. My commissioner is fabulous, so I don't have any complaints. But one of my very best friends was contacting their commissioner last week, requesting some information in email. The commissioner refused to give that over email, would only do it under phone call, and they said, no, I want it in writing, and so their commissioner stopped responding. And I think when our commissioners don't respond, we absolutely must hold them accountable. We have to say who's not responding. These people are our neighbors who are here to represent us, and when they are not, we should be running candidates against them, and we should be calling them out every single time without being gross and mean.
Yes.
Well, something that Mount Pleasant did that I really liked about letters to the commission is if you got them in by a certain date, letters from the community just got added to the packet. That's publicly available. These are the letters the commission received from the public. And so it's not just an email that goes into the ether. It's like, it's publicly available. This is what the commission got sent. Sometimes it would be very reasoned and well thought out complaints about something that, or constructive criticism about some policy that was proposed. Sometimes it would be, crazy off the wall stuff, but regardless, it was added, it was put in the packet, and it was pretty much, that a commissioner, either could have looked at or had it put in front of their face one way or the other.
Yeah.
And so I think as a community input, I would, that if I were on the commission, I would be advocating to make that change if that isn't already in place.
But again, thank you. I don't know where she went. I can't see her. Oh, there she is. Thank you. And and I want to just also add really quickly that, it's not like if we like a person, it's not, we don't have to say, it's not, you're nice, but this. We can still ask for things and like a person, right? We can be respectful and still address things or call people in and say, hey, this is kind of what you signed up for, and I need you to do this for me. And it's okay for us to ask that in a respectful way. So thank you for sharing that. Yep.
Hi, I'm Carmen Frankie. The first thing I would like to say is being humble is a great place to start, right? Second, what you already said, that we're all neighbors, and that should always be in front of us when we are speaking here. We're not here to keep track of our neighbor, what he's saying, in order to step here and just point out the negative issues or whatever. We are here to solve problems. If we stay focused on solutions, we will accomplish a lot. For example, we learned about the CDC meetings through the police academy. We went together last year. It is awesome. I don't know if you know about it, but if you haven't been there, I invite you to join them. There is a beautiful activity, and you get to know beautiful people, and you get to see what they do every day to make this place better. One thing I can suggest, Mr. Mayor, maybe you can help me there. Maybe, those 5 minutes we have as a community to speak here? Well, sometimes they're not enough, but we have the YouTube channel, and the comments are off. That would be wonderful. There's people that want to be here but can't be here. If you open up, I don't know if it's possible, please open it up. And if you need moderation, I know, Aimee, that's your name, I'm Carmen Sylvia, the one that I follow you through Facebook. We can take care of that. I'm not gonna charge, and I can keep it civil. That's something we can do. It doesn't cost anything, and you can have input of people like me. That I don't consider myself a great public speaker, but I was about to blow back there like, I need to say something. Please open the YouTube comment section, please. Please, just consider, please. And that's it. Thank you so much for your help.
Hi, my name's Kelly Cole.
Hi.
So I want to talk about transparency, because I think that's very important and something that's kind of missing sometimes. I notice a lot of times
Can you move up to the mic a little bit?
Yeah, I'm
Thank
sorry
you.
about that.
That's okay.
I notice a lot of times at the meetings, we get to speak to them, but they don't get to speak back to us.
Sure.
So it's kind of like you're talking to a wall. You don't really get much results. So we're not really focusing on solutions. It's always a problem. We're always hearing all these different problems, but we're not coming up with ways to fix that. And that seems like that should be the goal, because Bay City right now has a lot of problems. And I feel like people need to get over themselves as people and their ego and learn to be nice to each other, because it is possible. Because I have friends from all different walks of life, and we don't agree on some things at all, but we can still get along and do things that are right for the community. I feel like the YouTube page is really important, because if we're talking about transparency and things being open to the public, that's a great way for everybody to communicate, because that 5 minutes isn't really doing anything, because we do not get to hear back from the commissioners except at the end. If you make valid points, sometimes they'll address them. But so far, all I've heard was excuses. Like I brought up this meeting, and I was told it was going to be a problem. If all the commissioners showed up here, it would be a problem. It would be a gray area. There could be issues with legality. Well, then tell me, what's the point of having these meetings if the people that are in charge are not here? We ask for our leaders to come here. We're constantly asking for our leaders to help us and to do things and begging like we're asking for scraps off the streets. And we're not getting much of a response. Trust me, we're paying attention. It speaks volumes of those who respond. So I commend you. Thank you. Really, thank you for coming, because I've noticed. But the ones that keep giving these excuses of why we can't come to these meetings, why is Mr. Gerard having these meetings if this would be a legality problem? We're not talking about, so we can't fix legal issues here. That is against the law. But we can talk about what's going on in the community and how we can try to kind of fix it and actually have open dialogue and conversation, the things that we're always told they want from us. I would like to hear back from them too, because we're constantly talking to ourselves. We're not getting answers back from them. And a lot of times when we do, it's excuses. That's it. That's all it is plain excuses. And it's really opened my eyes moving back from Midland, coming back to Bay City and seeing what has happened to this community. It's eye-opening, and it's shocking, because the stuff that's happening here with the fighting, the arguing, the stuff about the 4th of July, the fireworks, all this stuff, the welcoming city, it feels like a distraction, because we have a lot of really, really, really big, important problems happening that are affecting the people in their community, like all the homeless people. You know, there's a lot of things going on in this community. Like, how come we're not being welcoming enough to help them? Instead, we're burning down Tent City. Come on now. You know, I just think sometimes we got to get over ourselves and kind of actually break that bread and get back to when we used to be neighborly like. And that's all I have to say is maybe be kind to each other and start there.
Thank you.
Aaron, can I just add, just for anybody who is curious about why they cannot all be here, more than three is a violation of the Open Meetings Act. It is prohibited unless they would be calling their own meeting, which is why you'll never see 3 commissioners in the same place. So that one, it is just the law, unfortunately.
It's because, I mean, it's a good thing, really. Because, I mean, the idea behind the Open Meetings Act is you don't want your commission meeting in a, smoky back room and making all the decisions, and then where nobody can see it happening, and then come out and vote how they all decided somewhere else, right? You want the discussions to be public. You want all of that deliberation to be public. And so that's why we have that Open Meetings Act. I think, something that I think the city could be doing more of to help the city feel more involved in the decision-making process is something I've asked several commissioners about, is why doesn't the city have work sessions? So a lot of municipalities, when you've got a complex issue that the city is working on, we used to do, when I was on the commission in Mount Pleasant, maybe once a month, once every other month, on a detailed issue, we would have a work session, which was publicly available. And there would be a presentation on a legal issue. There was usually a lot of information. And then the commission would have, it's not like, like as formal as a meeting is, commission would openly discuss the problem and work out a consensus, And I think the structure of way we kind of handle issues now with a commission leads to is structurally designed to lead to more discord on the commission. And it also feels like, decisions are being made without as much deliberation or feedback from the community. So I think for bigger issues, I think the city should work to have more work sessions on those issues, so the public feels like they're more part of the process and there's more collaboration on the commission.
Aaron, can I say one more thing?
Yeah.
We do have some things, right? We have a lot of public hearings that nobody comes to. So we recently did one for Carroll Park to put in the new playground. And there was like a handful of old people who don't use the park, and my kids were the only kids in attendance to pick the new playground in Carroll Park. So I think, some of these things exist. Maybe people don't know that they're out there, or they're afraid to go, or it's an inconvenient time. It's like, it was 6 p.m. on a Friday night here in City Hall, which was like the last place my kids wanted to be. right? But these things exist and people just don't go, and maybe it is a lack of awareness around them.
I think that's part of it. And thank you for bringing that up about the Open Meetings Act, because I was going to sit on the commission. I know we've gathered before in the parking lot to talk about, like, and it's like, oh, we can't even be here to talk to each other, you know, and so it's a real thing. But I don't want to dismiss, I don't know your name, I'm sorry. Sal, I don't want to dismiss what she said, because I do think there is some validity to what she's saying in the regards of this idea of sharing what you feel and what is the return, right? How do we bridge that gap? And so that is something to kind of think about. And also, I want to be clear too. I want to be very clear that Chris, this is not a meeting that Chris is doing. Like he did not do it and then everybody else didn't come to play with him, right? That's not what happened. What happened was, just so I can be really transparent, because I think there has been some misinformation in regards to what that looks like. Chris, I believe, saw some things happening within the community and some lack of conversation. He saw that there was not a lot of communication happening within the commissions, and so he knew that we do this, and he asked if we would come and help with that. And so I just want to be clear about that was something that he reached out so that we would have an opportunity to talk a little bit more in depth outside of a commission meeting. And then also, I also agree with you that leaders do need to show up, and it doesn't have to just be commissioners. It could be other people that are leaders within the community as well, because I do think there is some truth to the fact that if the leaders, if they choose not to listen, receive the information that's given, then yeah, what are we doing? What are we doing? And that is a real question. And so, but part of my job is to reach out to leaders for our next one, and in June and July and in August, to say, hey, we need to hear from you, right? We need to hear from you. This is what you signed up for. And so we're not, this is not demands or threats or anything like that. I'm not going to try to, do anything to them, but it is real that people do want to hear. And so I don't want to dismiss what you're saying, although we can't do it that way. There are some ways to do that. Yeah.
Well, I just want to make sure there's really transparency, because I did look up some of the laws and rules regarding that.
Sure.
And it says everybody can be in a room as long as there's not actual decisions being made. So I can't go fix McKinley Street and make that decision and put it in writing. That I legally can't do at the meeting. But from what I understood, and from the legal people I talked to, lawyers, they said no, everybody can be in the room. They can't make any legal decisions.
Yeah.
There can still be a discussion. There can still be dialogue. And there should be no reason that different commissioners can't show up at different times if there is some kind of rule. I am tired of excuses. There's always excuses from inside the board of reasons of why this, why that. But that's why they're holding these meetings. That's why we're doing this. So stop the excuses, because we're all tired of it. And there are people that are going to look into what's being said. That's all. Thank you so much.
No, listen, Sally, we're on the same. I'm sorry, Kelly. I thought you said, I couldn't hear you from back there. We are on the same side. Okay. What I'm telling you is that I agree with you, and I did reach out to commissioners, and so my thing is that I'm going to keep reaching out until August, and I'm going to keep reaching out until August, and I'm going to keep asking, because I do think that people should be here, and people have dates. We have dates already on the calendar, and so people can try. And then, listen, let me just say this, and then I'll get off of because I'm not here to talk. I want to hear from you guys. But I'm going to say this. The reason why we do these also is to give people an opportunity to speak. When we present the space, we present the capacity to do it. If a person does not take advantage of that, then there are no more excuses. There are no excuses, right? And so the idea is that we are here all together, and we will continue to create that space for conversation. And if people come, they come. If they don't, they don't. but then those people can't rant and rave online and me, like I don't listen to that kind of noise if you don't take the time to speak in person, in real time, person to person, and make real change, right? That's where I live, not in fantasy world. So we are all working together to create change, I believe, and I mean that's why they came out today to be here on this panel and talk to us. So we are going to keep doing this until August. And we're going to keep working, and so I really just really want to impress upon everybody to invite, keep pressing, and keep asking people, because we are accountable to each other. We are neighbors, and that's enough for me. Go ahead. Thank you.
Can I just do one more follow-up?
Yep, one more follow-up, and then...
Just one more follow-up, sorry. Just on a company, I mean, the last time I had a training on Open Meetings Act was back in 2013, and there was a lot of very strong warnings about trying to violate that law, but if I've misstated what the rule is, then I'm happy to learn. Because, I mean, honestly, it's been, like I said, it's been, what, 13 years since I've had a training on it.
So let me clarify. I do not believe if you had all the commissioners personally in the room, it would be a violation of the Open Meetings Act. As long as you do not have a dialogue or deliberation, it's fine for everybody to be, and we're...
You couldn't have them all on this panel.
Right? That's what they don't want. They want sunshine on decision-making process, and I fully support that. So
I agree.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm trying to listen. That's why I'm not speaking a lot.
No, but I appreciate you chiming in. And then also, like Mason stated, we wouldn't have them all up here, but it is okay for them to be in the room, and they should be here. And so the ones that come, we appreciate it. And I know people have schedules and different things, and I get it, but I appreciate everyone. Like I said, we're going to keep doing this till August, so you keep hearing my mouth until then, okay? Then after that, you can ignore me. Go ahead.
Hi, Kimberly Urban. I want to offer a different, I'm also Fifth Ward Commissioner. I don't know why, or running for Fifth Ward Commissioner. I don't know why we're all representing up here tonight, but whatever. I want to offer kind of a different perspective. I'm a community health worker. I am a prevention coordinator. I am a recovery coach. I am blah, 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 blah. And one of the perspectives that I want to offer to the people, not only sitting in this room, but also to the community. I heard one person talk about their mortgage, someone talk about their rent, someone talk about their car, and what the potholes do to it. We are grateful and lucky to have those issues. We are fortunate to have the mortgage to pay, all the other things that we mentioned in there. And the reason I bring that up is because I feel that, and I've heard it so much in the community, I work with every single day. You see how I drive, I'm out in the community every single day. Those people that don't have those fortunate things are not being heard. When I go out and knock on doors in my community and my neighborhood, and I genuinely want to know, like, how do you like your commissioner? I don't know who that is. So how would they have a voice to go to someone if they don't know? And what if having less in life is a barrier for them? What if that is a barrier to being heard? In my with prevention work, I try to prevent things from happening before we see the results, instead of having a solution to what has already happened. So here, we're finding solutions to the things that we're seeing develop over a matter of time, right? What if we focused on prevention? How do we make things better with community instead of making decisions based on the worst possible case scenario? What if we raised did more for children's groups? Parents don't know where to turn. They don't know how to do better for their children because they're too busy working 2 jobs without a car, riding the bus. There's so many different things within this community that I think would change how the community functions at this point. Like it's my joke, like when I'm out in the community and stuff, I always watch the commission meetings online. And I'll be like, I gotta go, my meeting's on. I watch it on TV, and they're like, one of my people in the community will be like, hey, I wish I could go to something like that. And I honestly ask them, why can't you? What makes you not fit into any space? Because that is your space, being a citizen. And they'll just be like, I don't fit. Nobody's going to listen. So I think that's part of what happens within the community, and how do we bridge that? How do we prevent that? How do we go stand, whoever we are? I don't care if you're a commissioner, I don't care if you're the mayor, whatever. Stand out in the community and let people know they are accepted. Let people know that they belong within any given space that we all occupy. And I know, like, everybody comes from different places. I'm not even from Bay City until, 15 years ago, something like that. So it's just, like, everybody has a space in which they belong. And I think that when we teach the community that and we let the community know that, I think that we see a lot more change. I think we see people talk to us. I cannot tell you, like literally can't tell you, but I can't tell you how many things I have heard in the community. People say, I wish, but they are not heard. Is it perhaps them not feeling like they can't come forward, or just not wanting to come forward?
Well,
we don't know.
It could be a few things. I mean, and then we have to understand too, there is a such thing as muscle memory, and the idea that some people feel exhausted, right? They feel like they've exacerbated everything they can to try to make change within their communities or in their spaces or for themselves, right? I mean, that's a lot of people are feeling like, what's the point? Right? And so to answer your question, when you said why, doing one or the other, we're going to do both, right? We're going to not only talk about some proactive ways, but we're going to talk about the stuff that's infectious, right? We're going to talk about, to heal something, you have to dig it out. You have to get in there and talk about it and be honest about it. And I believe in transparency, I believe in honesty, and I believe in just being real, right? And so I want to be, and that's why we're going to do a lot of work in June and July to talk to people one-on-one, because I feel that maybe people will feel a little bit more empowered to speak to what they feel, if it's just them and I talking, or with our team, or whoever it is that we're having that communication with. But people, I mean, it's a lot, and I heard everything you said, and I appreciate that. And so that's why we depend on people like you and Tracy that are out in the community, that can represent the people that may not have a voice in that moment or can't get here. Everybody can't get here for various reasons, right? Everybody won't feel empowered to come for various reasons, but that's why we depend on people like you all that are leaders in the community to come here and speak on behalf of them, ask the questions on behalf of them, advocate for them, and direct us in the path to them, so we can help. I mean, that's the point. I'm not doing this just to be doing it. Like, I truly enjoy this work, and it really means a lot to me, and I believe that the only way for us to do it is sometimes just to be real. Like, we have to be real, because I still have not heard a real. And it's interesting too, because everybody talks about stuff all the time about change. What do you want to see change? The only way we can do it is by calling it. And I think the only person that I've heard a clear change is having leadership in the room, and that's something we can work on. So we have to just be clear on what we want to get what we want. You have to be clear about it, right? And so that's what we're working on. So thank you so much for sharing that.